A stage play that highlights the life of humanitarian workers is showing in Taiwan for the first time. The production's actors and director visited various organizations to interview humanitarian workers and transform the stories they collected into a play.
FTV reporter Stephany Yang sat down with the production's director and actor to find out more.
Un spectacle qui aborde la diversité des sentiments des humanitaires.
Tiago Rodrigues and Comedie de Geneve collaborated for the production dans la mesure de impossible. The actors and directors of the production visited several humanitarian organizations in Switzerland and interviewed humanitarian workers. Natacha Koutchoumov is the co-director of the Comedie de Geneve, which is one of the biggest theatrical institutions in Switzerland. She is also an actor in the production. She says the play is about dignity and resilience.
We wanted to do a production about humanitarian workers because since we're based in Geneva, as you know, maybe is the birthplace of a lot of non-profit organization, and so this was the topic of the play. It's a play about dignity, it's a play about resilience, and since we got the chance to actually meet humanitarian workers, so one of the amazing stories, a story about silence, is how when you're humanitarian workers, you have this power to sometimes stop the conflict just for a few minutes to try to help some victims.
Act 2, I'm not going to save the world. Act 3, the world cannot be saved.
One story that Koutchoumov was strongly impacted by was a story in which she portrayed on a humanitarian worker looking back at her first experience in a refugee camp when she was only 25 years old. However, Koutchoumov says that the strongest stories she heard were not included in the play.
First of all, it made us feel very humble as actors because we're just actors, we're just telling the story and they actually went through this. Of course, I'm impacted by the stories I portray myself on stage. So actually, the strongest story we heard are not in the play because some stories are too hard to be put on stage. And theater cannot show the reality as it is because it's not bearable to listen to them. So as actors, what was the strongest stories are not in the play, because theater has to find a way to give a twist and give hope.
Koutchoumov said the team spent 3 weeks interviewing 30 workers during the daytime and organizing notes at night, and then selecting the stories to perform. The team met with humanitarian workers from the staff of the International Red Cross and Doctors Without Borders in Geneva. Inspired by their stories, this work depicts the struggles the workers face as well as their kindness and selfish love. The entire production took 7 weeks to put together. Aside from the script, music was also an important part of the production.
It gives a sense of, since it's an instrument with no melody, it's just a rhythm, and it has an effect on the body of the spectators and of the actors. You can project a lot on drums, you can project bombs, you can project desperation. Humanitarians always talk about the fact that they cannot share stories with their families because the stories are so tough, they cannot share them. And in a moment in the play, a humanitarian person shares this one. He has to make a decision, an impossible decision. He only has one bag of blood. And there's 3 kids. These kids will die if they don't get blood today. So then he has to decide which child will have the blood.
It is Koutchoumov's first time visiting Taiwan and performing.
Completely thrilled. I just arrived. I think it's an honor, a chance. The whole team, we're obsessed with this, the fact that we're performing in Taiwan, talking about it for months. It's a chance because since we really talk to the audience, we speak to the audience, we look at them in the eyes, it's a chance to see how the play will evolve with the reactions of people.
The show will be on at the National Theatre until March 19th. FTV reporter Stephany Yang and Li Yihan in Taipei.